So this is the Death Stranding trailer from E3. This is one that has everybody in the games industry wondering what's going on with it. It's a very big mystery. There are a lot of details that you can catch in the trailers, and this is my first foray into trying to look at one of the trailers properly and trying to put it online. It's recently been called a walking simulator by people as a joke, but honestly I don't think it's that. Let's take a look at Sam inside the Decima engine.
Sam Porter preaches. The man who delivers. Tears. Chiral allergy. So, you have dooms, like me. What's your level?
I've got the extinction factor, but I think you got me beat.
You can see them, right?
No, but I can sense them.
Wanna come work for me?
So when she says there, you've got the dunes, and he says, I've got the extinction factor, but you have it worse than me, and then she asks him, can you see them? It seems to be that whoever has the extinction factor can see the stranded. As we'll see in a little bit, where they're kind of floating in the air, always watching.
Must be tough out here on your own.
I can't help you with that. I make deliveries. That's all.
Now while we see the character just walking around the wilderness here, just appreciate the amount of detail that is in this environment, because the Decima engine, especially the modified one here that Kojima's been using in cooperation with Guerrilla, looks absolutely fantastic. This is the same engine that they made Horizon Zero Dawn on, and I don't know, this looks like the best PS4 game visually. So one thing to note here as well is that when Sam's walking around, he actually looks like a couple of different characters, mainly because he has different uniforms on and he has his hair tied back in some parts of the sequence, and he also is carrying around different things. I'm actually wondering whether most of it will be transporting things around the wilderness for various different reasons, and while doing that you have to hide or engage in combat, and you'll see why I mention combat in a little bit. This is one thing that caught my attention. It's really weird because it looks like they've got someone wrapped up here and he's carrying them. It's really strange. At first I thought it could be a corpse, but I'm not entirely sure, although it's really weird. So some of this environment you'll see is familiar. Most of the mountainy regions that have grass all over them remind me a little bit of Scotland. I don't know whether that was referenced, but this is the area, or it looks like the area from the previous trailer where we saw the I think the multiple beings just floating in midair, and that's when this area was also turned into a crater. This looks like there might be vehicles in game at some point, because this just looks like a bike and it goes over the cliff and you see Sam react to it now. don't know about anyone else, but this just has me terrified here just looking at it. It's like he's got to go over this really thin ladder with all this stuff on. It's begging for a sequencing where if you mess up, you just fall straight over the edge and die. One thing to note is because it's made on the same engine as Horizon and Killzone, this expansive landscape at the back here is probably all playable. This is just an assumption, so it might not be, but it definitely looks all 3D. And because of how large the environment was in Horizon, quite a lot of that is going to be playable, which is quite fascinating. So this is what I was on about when I said about combat. You'll see it looks like Sam overlooking a camp here while he's carrying some stuff. Well, this is an actual portable weapon that flips out. You'll see what I mean in just a moment when we start it up. So I believe there is going to be some combat into this. So there we go. We'll just go back a little bit when he flips that out. You can see it's some type of rifle with a magazine here and a scope, and then what looks like a small iron sight. Now this is interesting. This is where the Stranded come incredibly close to him. I can't tell whether this is goosebumps from his skin reacting, but you can hear the enemy coming really close to him, and you can see his hair standing on end. He starts getting goosebumps, and then his skin starts turning red. I think that's blood coming to the surface, or him getting incredibly hot in temperature. Another thing that's pretty cool is when you see the Stranded walking around, some of the plants actually grow out of the floor and other ones die, so it alters they alter things or the states of things as they walk around and come in contact with them. If you missed that around the footprint there, you can actually see all the little pebbles slowly rising up and then falling as it moved on. Just the amount of detail in this is ridiculous. You might not be able to see it on the video here, but if you go back and rewatch the video from the Sony conference in HD, you can actually see all of the... they're supposed to be stranded, I'm not quite sure. They're all floating up in midair still, they're just not black as they are in the original trailer. They're kind of a very light colour, almost see-through. Gives the appearance that they're always there and watching, and just you don't see them until it's too late.
Headed into town. Watch yourself. those things never stay gone for long. The timefall fast forwards whatever it touches, but it can't wash everything away. The past just won't let go. I'll see you around. Sam Porter Bridges.
Sam, what's your status? Chiralium density is still increasing.
My status is fucked. There's tons of them.
Can you sit out the rain?
No, they're closing in on my position. I have to move before they realize I'm in here.
Sam, if one of those things eats you, it'll trigger a void out. You'll come back, sure, but the surrounding area will still be a crater.
I got an idea.
So like in previous videos, this is where we get to see Sam connect the baby to his suit or his backpack. Either way, we're going to see the monitor come up and be able to detect where the stranded are and help him hopefully get away from them. The funny thing is, when I first saw this, immediately I was just like, oh my god, there are so many of them, but it gets even worse as the trailer goes on, and just has you wondering how many of them will actually be in-game like this. It's, I'll let you watch it and see what you think, because this is crazy. So here, as you can see, this is a stealth segment where he's trying to avoid the stranded. You can see he's got his hood up compared to the previous scene to avoid the time fall, which would age him rapidly if he was just out in the rain. So I'm assuming that by the looks of this, you can only really see the stranded when the rain comes down and the time fall happens. Also, they've changed colour to match. So here we see Sam get grabbed. There's a hand clipping through his head there. I can see that there. It seems like there's some sort of proximity sensor going on, or proximity gameplay going on, in where if you get too close to the stranded for too long, they'll grab you and drag you down. And like they said, when that happens, I'm assuming he gets eaten after this, and it's going to put a crater in the middle of the level. Then it cuts to Death Stranding's logo.